Good afternoon. My name is Charles Beecroft, and today we'll be discussing the webinar, specifically looking at NQA training, achieving your ISO training goals. I believe we've got about 7 attendees so far, so what we might do is we might wait about a minute or so for any last stragglers who might come in, and then we'll go from there. But make yourself comfortable, get a cup of coffee, get a cup of tea or anything like that, and then we'll be speaking about this over the next hour or so. Got one more attendee, so hopefully wait another sort of 30 seconds or more, and then we'll start. All right, we have 1 minute past, so we will now start the webinar. So thank you very much for everyone joining today. As I mentioned before earlier just now, my name is Dr. Charles Beecroft. I will be leading the webinar today, and we'll be looking at NQA training and achieving your ISO training goals. So we'll just move on to the next slide. So just to introduce myself and the training team, as I already mentioned, obviously that's me on the left-hand side. We also got Marissa on the right-hand side as well, and she's also providing the webinar support today as well. So she's also on hand to help with anything. And essentially what we do in both our roles is that we essentially run the NQA training, which means supporting when in client queries and making sure that all delegates get the best form of training experience when they come with NQA. But to give a bit of a little bit of background by myself is that I've actually not had that much experience ISO until recently into this role. My background really is in higher education and academia. I recently completed a PhD in Russian history, which is a very niche topic, as you can probably imagine. And I've also taught extensively at the University of East Anglia, the University College London, and the London School of Economics. I then transitioned from that into with Pearson Education, the quite large education company, where I eventually became the training manager, working with 7 UK universities in delivering online postgraduate education, specifically in training delivery and in course creation. And while I've only really been in this role for 4 months, I've already achieved my ISO 9001 lead auditor course or certificate in that regard. And I've also achieved competency in a variety of different standards, including 14,001, 45,001, 14064-1, 50,001, and medical devices 13485. Perfect. So we will just now discuss the actual objectives from today. So we will start off with an introduction to NQA training as a whole, looking at the purpose of what we want to achieve. Then we will look more specifically into the types of training and offer within our NQA portfolio. So that's looking more closely at our standards that we offer, and also more importantly, the different types of levels we offer for our training, specifically looking at introduction or introductory, intermediate, and advanced. We'll then look into the different types of learning styles that we cater for within our NQA training, looking at e-learnings, virtual, tutor-led, and also in-house courses. Once we have that sort of good understanding of all 3 elements there, then we can use that to sort of sufficiently assess your ISO training needs and go for the questions you'd ask yourself to do so. And then penultimately, we'll look at the benefits of undertaking NQA training. And also finally, we'll finish off with a Q&A. Now, you'll notice in the webinar chat box that there's an option to answer, to put in questions. I highly recommend you use that function and you put any question in that you want about training or NQA in general. I won't be able to answer any questions as we go through specifically the actual webinar, but it will be noted on the actual question slide, and then I will then take those questions at the end of the webinar, as well as any questions that come up towards the end of that time as well. But before we start, we'll continue and we'll move on to the next slide. Perfect. Right. So to introduce NQA training, I think it's important to really start off with a key question. And that question is, what purpose does NQA training seek to achieve? And the best way to start off with that is that sort of first bubble at the top, and that is to support organizations with certification requirements. Now, you may be working for an organization that has never gone through the certification requirements before, or have gone through that for a particular standard for several years or decades. Regardless, doing the appropriate training will help your organization and the individual in that organization upskill themselves and their employees, so you understand the requirements to adhere to that certification. We at NQA Training understand that, and we can help you achieve those, and he achieved that by addressing those gaps. Moreover, as well, then if you move on to the second bubble, we can also help individuals achieve ISO competence. Now, whether that is sort of getting an understanding of a brief understanding of a particular standard from an e-learning, or going on a 5-day lead auditor course, either way it works, and you will have that competency in that respective standard. We will speak more details about the types of training we have on offer later in the webinar, but hopefully we'll give you a bit of an introductory option there. Now, if you go to the last bubble at the very bottom here, we are committed at NQA Training to deliver that high quality learning experience. Now, that is achieved firstly through our use of our tutors who deliver the training. They're all extremely experienced, several of which have decades of experience in their respective areas. And through their knowledge and their impartation of such knowledge, you get such a wonderful wealth of understanding of the requirements and needs of those standards and how to apply them. And also finally as well, the use of our materials and use of our exercises will make the training so engaging that you can deliver that high quality element that's so essential for those experiences. And just to confirm as well, if you look at the right hand side of the screen, you'll see the net promoter score that we achieved last year from our clients and customers, showing that that while we are committed to doing this, our clients and customers have rewarded us with an excellent score, showing that we're committed to that high quality element. And finally, if you look at the last bubble on the left-hand side of the screen, making sure we adhere to those CQI and IRCA requirements. Now, they are quite key requirements, and by adhering to those and meeting those requirements, we ensure that our training meets that high level of integrity and competence, and ensure that you get the benefit from that and get the best experience possible while doing courses with NQA. Perfect. If you now, we can move on to the next slide. There we go. If we can actually take, there we go. Perfect. You now see on the slide here in the range of options of our different types of standards that we have within our NQA training portfolio. And you can look at the screen here. We have a sort of bread and butter, the sort of the most popular courses that we have. We have the 9001, the 14001, and the 45001 on that screen here. But you also notice as well the other different types of standards that we offer. This includes information security right in the middle of the screen here. We also offer aerospace in the very bottom, and automotive management training on the very sort of bottom right corner there. And also, if you look at the top left box there, the sustainability training offers a variety of different trainings, such as the greenhouse gas inventory verification, the social responsibility and sustainable events, and also our carbon neutrality and our carbon management infrastructure. That last one, past 2080, is actually a most recent e-learning, so check that out when you have a chance on our NQA website. And not on the screen here as well, but still vitally important, we offer also other standards as well. This includes business continuity, medical devices, and food safety management. Perfect. So, I might have skipped a slide there. Perfect. So actually, we've sort of addressed the different types of training that we offer at NQA, the different standards. But it's also important to understand how we cater for different learning styles through the format we offer such training. And now this is offered in 3 different styles, and that is e-learning, virtual tutor-led, and in-house. E-learnings, as you might have seen from engaging themselves, is designed to be a short introductory course or overview to a particular standard. Now, individuals doing these e-learnings can do these courses either from the safety of their own home, they can do it anywhere, they can do it at their own pace. It doesn't really matter. But the benefit of doing this is that it allows those who do take that e-learning to get a nice overall view of the course, of the overview of the standard, while perhaps they may not have the time to do one of our one-day tutor-led courses. So there's options for both there. But also, if you move on to the bottom right of the screen, the virtual tutor-led, you'll notice this is our most common way for delivering training currently. And this takes the place of a tutor leading delegates in an online environment, often through Zoom. And these training sessions are designed to be engaging, interactive, and opportunities for the learners to engage with other fellow delegates and also interact with the tutor and use and sort of leverage that experience how you wish. And these training sessions take place throughout the year. They're set on a calendar basis, so a set dates in that year. And you'll be able to see those types of dates on our website. So say, for example, you want to look at the 50001 introduction course or introduction course, you can check that online on our website and see when available you can see those courses. Perfect. If you move on now to the in-house courses as well, you will be able to see that that this is slightly different to our virtual tutor-led courses. The difference here, for example, is that the virtual tutor-led courses happens at key points of the year, but in-house are based upon the requirements of that organization. So, for example, an organization may come to us and say, we would like you to deliver this type of course at this time. Are you able to fulfill that requirement? And we would obviously liaise with the tutor to make sure there are requirements, but we'll be able to meet those requirements, hopefully, and deliver the course as and when, whether in a virtual setting or in person. And this often happens the case at the organization's location, and we can deliver and hopefully have an excellent example of in-person training and get a really, really good learning experience from there. But obviously these courses as well take place depending on the needs of the organization as well. So let us know that, have a conversation with myself and Marissa, and we'll be more than happy to cater the training to your learning styles. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is that we are going to now look at that slide we mentioned before, and that is the types of NQA training we have on offer. And you see this here on that is that level 1, and it's broken down into 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. Known as introduction, intermediate, and advanced. And you see on the screen here on the left-hand side, we have the e-learning there, which we've already discussed in brief, and also on the right-hand side, that introduction training for an example, in this case, for ISO 9001. An introduction training, obviously in this case for 9001, but is also applicable to any other standards that we run the training in, is a tutor-led virtual one-day course that allows the tutor to go through that specific standards to ensure that all delegates get an understanding of all the relevant clauses. These courses in particular are really excellent for employees that really want a good understanding of a standard, but want a tutor to sort of go through them in detail, or they're trying to introduce a new management system into their organization. Next, we'll look at the types of training here, level 1 and level 2. Now, you notice there's 3 different courses here. We'll go through them in detail. And these are the implementation courses, the introduction and implementation training, and also the ISO 9001 new manager training. If you look at the implementation one, it shows that it's defined as level 2. And the reason being is because we expect individuals to have a really good understanding of that particular standard before embarking. We recommend individuals doing the introduction course beforehand. And the idea being is that they take that knowledge from the introduction of that standard, and then you spend the implementation training learning how to apply that standard and implement it within your organization. And this also includes, understanding how to build effective and flexible processes when introducing a management system into your organization. This is then, you can either do these courses either as one-off, as one introduction and then one implementation, or as you can see from the middle of the screen, as one sort of 2-day course, with the first day looking at introduction and the second day looking at implementation. And then on the final one, though, on the right-hand side, the ISO 9001 new manager training. This is perhaps one of our more interesting courses because it creates an opportunity for individuals who are new to a quality manager role to embark on this course and have a really good understanding of what is expected of them. This includes ensuring they have the key requirements for their roles, understanding the key legislation that are relevant to them and the organizations, and also just having a better understanding of what is expected when organizations manage and ensure quality. The 9001 standard will also be reviewed as part of the training, but delegates will also be expected to work together in teams with their other team members and then present their quality management audit plans to the group and also the tutor to get feedback on that. Perfect. So we will now look on to the continued area of level 2, and you'll notice here that there are 2 types of internal auditor training, and I'll break down the differences between the 2. We have the one on the left, which is the NQA version of the internal auditor, and on the one on the right, which is the CQI IRCA version. Now, both courses, despite one being 1 day and another being 2, both are based on the internal audit requirements of the relevant standard, and they give the delegates the skills to be able to successfully conduct internal audits. The reason being why there's a slight difference in days is that the CQI and IRCA requirements for an internal auditor course state that courses have to be a minimum of 2 days in this regard. And so we, as a result, we want to adhere to that, so we provide this as such. However, we know from delegates that they also have requested in the past for one-day versions of this course, and so we provide both options here. Now, I'll go over the benefits of both courses as we go through in detail. The left course, the NQA version of that as well, is one day, which doesn't mean is cheaper than the CQI and ERCA course, simply the fact because it is only one day. And this is also particularly useful for delegates who want to complete the training as quickly as possible and want to achieve their goals in a certain time frame, and this suits for them. Likewise as well, the CQI and the fact that it's cheaper might also be beneficial for some learners as well. But the CQI and ERCA courses may be longer and may perhaps be more expensive, but provides a greater value. And the reason being for that as well is that it creates a great opportunity for individuals to understand the information, to digest it, to engage with group activities, and to cement their knowledge of the standard. And moreover, individuals may also qualify once they receive their certificate, qualify with an achieved CQI and ERCA internal auditor status with their completion of the course. Now, if you aren't sure which course to take, whether it's the NQA version or the CQI ERCA version, I highly recommend reaching out to myself or Marissa, and we'd be more than happy to have a conversation to discuss your training needs. Perfect. Oh, I've just been aware. I think my sound might have gone briefly then about 5 minutes ago. So I apologize if my sound did go. If that's the case, then please, I'm more than happy to cover any elements that I missed moving forward. So just if that's the case, put that in the chat and we'll cover that in the Q&A. Perfect. So the last point of this type of training, the level 3 element, we are looking at the most comprehensive types of training on offer within NQA. And this is the CQI ERCA ISO 27001 lead auditor training, and also the conversion version of that. Now, the lead auditor course is our longest course on offer. It's 5 days in total. It's virtual, tutor-led, and it's specifically designed by the CQI and ERCA to ensure that all delegates have the requirements and skills to plan, oversee, and conduct external third-party audits. While there is no set prerequisite for this course, we highly recommend that you do one of our previous courses, maybe the introduction or implementation courses, or even the internal auditor course, because it can be quite a rigorous course to undertake. However, though, these courses are wonderful and excellent for professionals seeking registration as internal or as lead auditors or as auditors themselves, or anyone conducting third-party audits, or anyone conducting audits for suppliers or vendors. There are wonderful ways to go about that, and you will get that comprehensive understanding from this course. The conversion course, you notice, is only 3 days long. And the reason for this is that it is meant to be for individuals who've already achieved lead auditor status from a CQI or ERCA approved course or an equivalent in that particular standard. So what happens is we see individuals who already achieved, say, ISO 9001 lead auditor status, but they want to upskill themselves in both 14,000 or 45,001 or another standard. So what happens is that you enroll in this course, and the reason why it's shorter is because it only contains the information that you are perhaps haven't experienced yet, because you've already covered that information perhaps from the previous lead auditor course. Hence why it's a great way to upskill as quickly as possible rather than having to do another lead auditor training that is 5 days long. Grand. So what we've done so far, we've actually looked at all the different ISO standards that we cover. We cover the different formats of training that we cover as well, and also the levels of training that are most relevant to the individuals. And since we have that information, that foundational knowledge, we can now really ask ourselves the questions in terms of assessing your relevant training needs. And what we use here, we use this diagram with key questions over the next 2 slides to sort of really nail down exactly what is most relevant for you. In this particular case, you can see here from the question, are you looking to implement, audit, or understand a specific ISO standard? Now, in this particular case, you can see here that if you wish to implement, how this is addressed is via our introduction and implementation training trainings, or the new quality manager training moving forth. Finally, and moving that onwards to the next part, you see the audit part. You can see if you wish to audit, that is addressed through the introduction and implementation trainings, the internal audit training, or the lead auditor or lead audit conversion versions as well. And then finally, if you really wish to understand the different type of training or different type of ISO, the best training to address here is both the e-learnings or those introduction trainings moving forward. And if you move on to the next slide, you can see here, for example, another question and whether you want to conduct internal or external audits. Now, as we mentioned before, if it's internal, you wish to cover those with internal auditor training courses, and likewise with external, you cover that with lead. But you'd also notice that there is a second question here as well, and that links in quite nicely to what we call sort of learning pathways here at NQA. And what that means essentially is that we want to cater the different types of training or training styles, at least to what you want to achieve for yourself or your business. And in case if you have already achieved a particular standard or a particular level of qualification, you must ask yourself the question of whether you audit multiple standards. And if you do, the option in this case, at least for internal context, is that we can offer you the integrated management system or internal auditor training. Now what this is, it covers 9001, 14,001, and 45,001 in 2 days. And it's a wonderful opportunity to upskill quickly in 3 standards instead of just doing one at a time. And for those individuals who've attended quite a few of these webinars in the past, last week you might have had the opportunity to see Claire Harling speak quite beautifully over the benefits of achieving these 3 standards from a certification standpoint. And also as well to continue, that's for internal examples, but if you wish to achieve that for an external context, then the lead auditor conversion trainings is a wonderful option for yourself. Perfect. So now we are coming towards the end of the webinar, so we're making good time. So we should be finished in the next 5 minutes or so. But what we will look at now is look at the benefits of undertaking training with NQA. To start off with, doing so with NQA gives you that recognized qualification. As you are probably most aware, NQA is a world-leading certification body with significant experience over 30 years. And if you complete a training course with NQA, it will give you that rigorous, recognizable qualification that has significant value wherever you may take it. Furthermore, building upon that, by doing a course with the NQA, you will build upon that ISO knowledge. And whether that's obviously doing an e-learning on a particular standard or doing one of our 5-day lead auditor courses, you will leave the course with a better understanding of the ISO knowledge than when you started it. And a big part of that is making sure that we're adhering to the CQI and ERTA requirements. By meeting these requirements, we ensure that we have all our training courses are to a high level of integrity and rigor that not all certification bodies achieve. So it's important to understand that by doing so, we maintain that level of excellence moving forward. And if we move on to that bottom list, on bottom 3, the first one of that is the use of experienced tutors. As I mentioned before, our tutors are very well breadth or experience in their area, some of which have almost decades of experience or knowledge in their relevant sectors. And it's a wonderful opportunity when you do these training courses to really leverage that knowledge, understanding of the standard doing that stuff. And specifically as well, for individuals who are not as well familiar with the standard, you can leverage that and use that to apply that to your own organization. And the penultimate example here is that personalized learning experience. As mentioned before, if you have a particular learning style, we have 3 or more different ways how to cater for that. And if you want to have a more bespoke or personalized training, you're more than welcome to reach out to myself or Marissa, and we can arrange a specific training and in-house course as and when as appropriate to address your needs. And last but not least, we have our learning pathways, as I mentioned before. And this is a wonderful opportunity to understand your training needs and whether you want to start off from an e-learning and achieve internal auditor status, or if you already achieved lead auditor status but want to achieve a complete conversion courses and a variety of different standards. Let us know what works for you, and we will be able to work with you to create a plan that provides all the training needs that address every requirement or objective that you have for yourself or your organization. And to almost complete the webinar, just to build upon that learning pathways, we do want to sort of emphasize that we recognize this and we wanted to almost reward individuals with this through training bundles. So you look at the left-hand side of the screen, the accessibility e-learning. What this is if you buy 5 e-learnings for the same all together, you actually save £270, almost £300 by doing that. So you get wonderful value for the price of that. look at the middle one, that is our integrated lead auditor training. This is an opportunity for individuals who wish to achieve a lead auditor status in 9001, but also wish to do conversion trainings, both in 45001 and 14001. If you buy them all in the same go, you then can save up to almost £600 from that completed training. So a wonderful opportunity for value there. And then last but not least, our most popular bundle, the internal auditor and lead auditor training for the 9001 standard. This is an opportunity for individuals who wish to undertake the internal auditor training, the CQI IRCA one, and also the lead auditor version of the same one as well. So by doing both at the same time and buying them at the same time, you can save up to save £258. So again, a wonderful opportunity to complete your objectives and also save some money at the same time. Perfect. Right. So we are coming towards the end of the webinar now, but this is the penultimate slide here. If you look at the slide, this is ways to get in contact with us in this particular case. That number on the left, top left-hand side is our training number. So please give that a call and have a chat with myself and Marissa to discuss any training queries. Or alternatively as well, you can also email training@nqa.com to have a conversation about us if you wanted something a bit more bespoke. And also as well, please check out our blog on the right-hand side, our website there as well, and also sign up as well for our e-sign as well in touch for at nqa.com/sign up. But check it out when you have a chance. And I just want to say now that it is time for the Q&A. So if anyone's got any questions, now is the opportunity to ask. And we'll check out the questions here, see if any questions have come through. No questions so far, but we have lots of time left in the webinar. So there's a wonderful opportunity now to ask any questions you may ask. Happy to field any questions, whether it's in specific about bespoke training requests and the different standards we may be covering in the future. I'm happy to discuss anything. None so far. We'll worry about another couple of minutes or so of any questions to sort of sneak in, and then we'll go from there. No questions up yet. We'll just wait maybe one more minute or so, and then we'll wait for any final questions, and we might end the webinar just then. And just to confirm as well, we will be sending out the slides after this webinar. So if you want the opportunity to look through all the different types of options we have, the different standards, you're more than welcome to look through the slides as well. And as mentioned previously as well, any questions after this webinar, call us via that number or send an email to training@nqa.com, and we'll be more than happy, myself or Marissa, to answer any questions. Right. I think it's an opportunity, right, to end the webinar. So get everyone back some time back, which is quite nice. So, but obviously, if you do have any questions, please use the phone, use the email. We'll be more than happy to help. But for the moment now, I think I wish you all a lovely rest of the day, a lovely rest of the week, and I hopefully will speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.